Hi crafters, and welcome to my examples with video. It is 6:49 on November 2nd, but most of my clocks that aren't attached to something internet related in the area say that it is 7:50. Yes, in the Midwest we have now gone back to standard time. We're not on daylight savings time anymore, so at least I'm not 2 hours ahead of my sister in Arizona right now, only one. Okay, so, and my camera has been really jumpy. Do you see that? I don't know if it's because I'm on natural light, excuse me, but I'll try to keep an eye on it to make sure that it doesn't slow down while I'm recording. All right, so we're doing examples with this Friendly Foliage bundle. This is 10 stamps, 6 dies, and we showed that to you yesterday on that video. So for today's video, I decided that I want to use and focus on this stamp here. So we're going to be focusing on this stamp here, which, like I said, covers a lot of area, so it's sometimes kind of hard to peel off. And we're going to be working with this die for one of it, and then we're going to be working, I believe, yes, with this die for a few others. So let me go ahead and just get those caught up here so I don't actually end up losing them. All right, we're also going to cut some two-sided cardstock. This is the Granny Apple Green. We're going to cut at 1 7/8 here, and then we're going to do 2 at 3 inches. So those should both be, yep. I was left with a 6x6 piece. So you see how there's, depending on which side you use, it's a little bit different. Okay, then we are also going to cut 2 more of those. That's right. So here's 1 7/8 again by 3. Trying to show you as little supplies as possible. So, oops, that one's a little bit longer. That way you can see you can do these cards without having to have a lot of supplies. All right, so I have 4 of those. There are 1 7/8 by 3. Okay, then, because I think I'm going to do this in the cutouts. So I think this is going to be this cutout, and I think that this is going to be what I stamp on. All right, so let me get a big block. Let's see. Did I figure this out yesterday? Yes, that goes off the edge. So I need, and this one I don't think is tall enough. No, so I need this one out. I probably could have used my Create Kindness one. I could have. That was from a class I took with another stamp company. So let's go ahead and let's ink this up really good. Now, I probably would be smarter to use the Stamparatus in case this doesn't stamp nicely, but I'm going to take my chances here, and I'm going to figure out where the bottom of that is. We're going to cut this one out anyway. I just wanted to make sure that I had somewhat of a good border around it. All right, let's see how that's stamped. That stamped pretty good. All right, so now let me go ahead and let me trim that off a little bit. I want to trim it down so it'll go through my mini Stamp and Cut Emboss machine. I have too many plates. Wouldn't go through. Yes, I have extra plates all over the place. All right, so let's go ahead and let's line this up first. I have plenty of post-it tape to keep it in place. I want to make sure that I have the same border on both sides, but yet I also have the leaves being cut out correctly. So let's go ahead and put that there and put that there, and we'll run that through. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's very early in the morning, even though I slept a long time. Well, it's hard saying because my Fitbit said I slept for 8 hours. Was that really 8 hours, or was that 9 hours? And, you know, you have to subtract for that one. All right. Let me go ahead, pull this off. Remember, always pull this tape at a diagonal after it's gone through the stamp, cut, and emboss machine because there's so much pressure on it. You don't want to rip your cardstock. All right, so there we have that piece. There you go. All right, if I'd used a stamper S, that would have been a little darker there, but we're letting it go as is. All right, so we have that piece, and then we're going to cut these in the middle of this rectangle, so there's a little bit of an edge left. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to tape this down too, just because yesterday there's so much pressure point. There's this is an intricate die. There's a lot of pressure points, so I am going to tape that down so it doesn't move when it goes through on that. I am going to go frontwards and backwards, and then since it's taped down and I know it won't move, I'm going to flip it upside down just so those cutting blades hit closer to that top bar, which I feel does a lot of the pressure. All right, take some sort of, I'm only doing this because now that I put so much pressure on it, oops, that it really was stuck to that board. Again, tearing on the diagonal. We're going to do this one more time though. All right, so there you have that. All right, we have a lot of scritchies in here. You just throw it down, you're going to get a lot of those scritchies out. See, there's only that one left there. So into the garbage those go, and let's do that again. Here's my other piece. I'm going to set it so I get a good border on both sides. That one looks a little bit, there we go, I think that looks good. Again, let's run that through. And it's not that there's that much pressure, but this pushes this. I don't have it on a gripper mat, so it tends, I'm not going to do that one upside down, so it tends to rock a little, so I feel like I have to hold it down even more. Let's go ahead, peel that off in a diagonal. All right, and it did move. It did get a little bit crooked, but we'll deal with that. It's fine. Let's throw that down to get a lot of those out of there. Get rid of all those scritchies. All right, so now we're going to put some glue on these and let them sit for a little bit just so they get tacky. Makes it easier to apply them. This is just our multi-purpose glue in a precision bottle. This is why I should be using my tweezers. And see, if I put this down right now, that would ooze out. But if I give it like a minute to dry on its own, it's going to, sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's going to get tackier. Yes, so if I put down right now, if I got too close to the lines, it was going to ooze out. But by doing this, it solidifies a little bit, and then it makes it easier for placement. It's more like a tacky to permanent glue versus permanent like it is if you go down when it's completely wet. All right, I think that looks okay. Didn't put any there. So we'll put that down as the last little bit there. All right, let's get out our cardstock. Just put the lid back on that glue. Put this over here because we're done with that for now. All right, so let's do, I think I want to do it on the Whisper White this time. Only because I think that's going to contrast a little bit better than this. Let me show you. Yeah, I'm going to go with the white. Usually with nature, I do the basic beige or the very vanilla, but we'll go against standard protocol and do it this way. All right, if you want to do any sort of background, now is the time to do it. I think I am going to take, let me think what I want to do. I think maybe I'll take it over and I'm going to run it through my Stamp Emboss machine, my big one over on this side table. And I'm going to go through with the painted texture. Not sure if this is still out there and about, but it's what I'm going to use. Hopefully it's still out there. What I'll end up doing is just going like this, because I cut this one at 4 1/4 by 11. I'm just going to go ahead and go through here and run it through. So let me go over here to my side table. That is a 3D embossing folder, so you want to use platform 1 and your gray 4 plate. Let me just show this to you as I trip on my box. So I'm just running it through with my platform 1 and my gray 4 plate. On it again, walking by my desk area. All right, so there we have that painted, and as you can see, I didn't really line it up that well on my plate. Now once it runs through the embossing folder, you might lose a little bit. Maybe I cut that. Oh no, that's just the way the fold is. I thought that it wasn't lined up, but it is lined up. That's just the way I put it through on the fold. All right, let's grab our bone folder. Let's just put a crease on that back fold so it'll stay down. Now on this, we want, see how these are the same colors here? That's what we want because we're going to flip that over, remember? So we want to put one here, and just to make sure, I'm going to catch that on there just to make sure. I want to get it about the area I want it. And I'm going to bring this through to make sure that it's straight, which it is. All right. But we want to put it down this side. So it looks like we're putting the same color on. Remember, we're flipping that over. So with this, I'm just going to use, because I'm putting it on an embossed card front. I want to use either green glue or that so it stays on pretty tight. And it looks crooked to me, but it could be because of all that background. Because according to the T-ruler, it's straight. Unless my T-ruler is messed up, it says it's straight. All right, let's grab one of these panels. We're going to flip it over. Oh, it's not straight. It's there. See that? All right, so then we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover that up because remember we made the panels the same. So here's where I can potentially straighten it out a little bit if I wanted to. All right, so we're going to do that there. We're going to lay this right next to it. And that's going to give us what this is supposed to be. And if you cut it right, if you did the 2 at 1 7/8 and you did the middle one at 1 3/4, it will exactly go across the length of your cardstock. Don't ask me how I know. I did quite a bit of time yesterday with my fractions. I don't know if I even still have that sheet to show you. Anyway, now it may be a little bit off because I probably didn't cut this the right first time, but it's close enough that we can trim it up at the end if need be. But again, both side pieces or side panels, not a side piece. I went to degrade that cardstock. I can't think what I was saying. It's early in the morning, remember? Even though we fall back, it's still early. So there's that piece. Again, we're going to put this piece to cover that. And then we're going to pop this up on, oh, I got glue on there. We're going to pop this up. Sorry. I need to get another one. We're almost done with this. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. And it's been warm and cold, warmer, cold, warmer, cold here in the Chicagoland area. So, of course, everyone's sinuses are acting up. Ugh. All right. So let's go here and here. And then I wonder if the mini are still too big for those little leaf areas. Let's look and see. I think they'll just fit. Let's see. Yeah, you don't see it on the back side. Oh, you do a little. Just that one corner. So let's see. If I didn't push it down, let's see if I can move it up just a little bit. This is where Monovision does not come into handy. There's a little bit hanging over there, but I think when I go to push it down, I can squish it under like that. You know what? I do have little tiny pieces I can cut here just to make little tiny strips that can go on there. I'm not so worried about the pieces. They're at the bottom. It's these pieces up here at top that I feel are going to have a little more pressure. Let's cut a couple more. All right, I'm not going to fool with that. Doesn't want to take. All right. Just back over the side. Come over here. You want that to go right in between those two. So there's what you have so far. If you wanted to add some Wink of Stella to some of these to give it a little bit of shine, you could. I don't use Wink of Stella. I mean, I've used it a lot more lately than I thought I would, but I don't feel like I'm that great at it. So I'm just covering those leaf portions. Trying to stay even with that frame. All right, we'll let it dry just a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that grading. I have things all over the place. I do not like stamping like this. I usually like keeping my work surface pretty clear because I'm going to make mistakes no matter what, because that's who I am. So the less I have on my desktop when I'm crafting, the less likely I am to mess things up. All right, so let's get those phrases out. And I think that Thinking of You will fit pretty well. Now, I did one yesterday in a green, but I think it's the wrong kind of green. Let me show you what I mean. See, I did it on that yesterday, and I don't think that's going to be quite as pretty. So let me go ahead. I'll stamp on this. Get it on there straight so I don't bend it. I have glue on my fingers, so now everything wants to stick to me. And let's go ahead and use the memento again. So now I can go ahead and I can cut this out with my trimmer. There is, and I'll show it to you when I show you the examples, there is a really thin strip. Oh, you know what? I showed this last week. Or was it 2 weeks ago? This was from that also online exclusive. Let's see. So I can do it like that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Should I do this one? I don't like how it takes off that Y though. So let's go as close as I can get. Let's see how that looks. And again, I think I would pop that up. So this is going to lay against that right there. So yeah, maybe I should have done it. Maybe I should use that different color so it really pops up. Nope, I'll go ahead and do it. So I'm going to put some of those minis. Excuse me still. I'm going to use that edge part of the minis because I think that fits perfectly in there. And then since that part's popped up, I'm just going to put a little dot of glue on there. Because if I put a pop-up on it, it's going to bring it up even higher. And that's already popped up, this panel. This panel's already popped up. Okay, let's go ahead. And there you are. See how that Winter Stella is on the one leaves? I'll probably end up doing it on the second leaf. But that's just a quick card idea. If you have these panels already cut out, it just goes really fast. Remember, I'm in the creative process here, so I'm thinking this through as we're doing it because I don't really plan that much ahead. And I am going to, once this dry, I have to take my adhesive remover and get that glue because I moved it when I first put it down. So I'll get that taken off. All right, so that's our card using that set. Now let me show you what I worked on yesterday. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I like this idea, but it didn't turn out. I should have done something to the front panel before I did those cutouts. These are that cutout die here, but I just did it on the card flap itself. And then it was so stark when I put anything behind it that I did, I used my markers, since you know markers are going away from Stampin' Up. I used my markers to try to do where I colored on the back of a block, wet it, and then put it down. Not sure if I like that. I should have probably done some sort of either embossing folder or a background stamp before I did the cutouts. So I'm not counting this as a finished card because I didn't like the end results. So I did an A6 card instead. I had to do an A6 because of these are, remember that is 3 inches, the die itself is. Let me pull it off. So if you want a frame, see how that's, oh no, with the frame it has to be 3 inches. It's 2 3/4 wide. So the frame had to be at least 3 tall. So that means you can't use an A2 card. You'd have to use an A6, which is 9 by 6 1/4, scored at 4 1/2. So your surface area here ends up being 4 1/2 by 6 1/4. So that's what I did, featuring that cutout. And then the last one, I used those dies, and I went ahead and I cut them all out and I put them down, and I don't know if you can see, I ran them through the exposed brick embossing folder. I'll have to look to see if that's still available. I don't keep up on the embossing folders as much as I should. So anything that has, any embossing folder that has a tight pattern, you can do this because then you're gluing down those die cuts and you're running it through, so that it helps add pressure to it and keep it down flatter. And then just as an afterthought, again, it looked kind of blank, kind of stark. So as an afterthought, I went ahead and took that stamp and went around the edges. Now, if I had thought ahead, I would have done that background, so it looked a little less placed, but that's how it goes in Roxy Land. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Go ahead and give me that thumbs up. You know that helps me a lot. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you have a crafting friend who you think would enjoy simple ideas like this, my cards are pretty much simple. Yes, it took me 20 minutes to do this card, but I'm not someone who's going to spend an hour and a half on a video doing one card. Most of my cards are usually done in 15 minutes or less. So if you think you have a friend out there that like it, give them my address to go ahead and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Most of all, have a great Sunday. Welcome back to standard daylight time. No more daylight savings. So, thanks. I'm babbling, I know. Have a great Sunday. Bye for now.